there are different titles and terms next to the different people who are in the household examinations. So we're just going to go over a few of the common ones. So we have got an H right here, and that means hustra, which means wife. So here is the head of the household, and here's his wife. And then this dr is daughter. It's their daughter Anna. And something that can be confusing with the dr is that sometimes it can mean something else as well. So right here we have DRA with the 2 dots above it, NG. That means farmhand. So that's someone that's not part of their family, not related to them. And so that is what this DR right here means. Usually the minister is pretty consistent in what he uses. Usually he uses DR for just one or the other. But this was a good example where it had both on the same page, so I could show you pretty easily. So this DR means that he's a farmhand. This DR means it's daughter.
The way that you can tell whether the DR means daughter or farmhand is determined by the birth record. And so if you are tracing a family across different household examination books, and you will have found the birth records for each individual, and so you'll know if it's talking about a daughter or not. And also you can basically tell by the name. If it's a guy name, then it's going to be a guy, and that's nearly always going to be the case.
And the minister also wrote out daughter in its entirety right here. So that's kind of interesting. Then there's also son. That means son. So there's also another term that is pretty common, and that is PIGA, which means maid, like farmhand for a girl. And so here's an example of this right here, PIG. And as you can see right here, here is an abbreviation of wife, hustra. So on the previous page, they just wrote an H. Here they wrote it out a little bit more. Sometimes they write it out all the way. There's a bunch of different ways that people do things. So here's an H where it's just an H. Something else that is good to know is that when someone is a drang, D-R-A, the 2 dots, N-G, or a pilla, that means the lady maid, then they are going to be single. And so when they get married, they lose that title, and they gain the wife or the man title. So now we're going to go on to examples of people moving out of the household examination records. So when people move out of this place where they're living, they are going to move out to one of 3 places. So the first one is going to be to a different parish. The second one would be to a farm within the same parish, and the other one is going to be a farm within a sistering or mother or daughter, a related parish. And we'll go over those terms in a second as well. So if you like a step-by-step way of determining which one it is, then you can follow the steps of first checking to see if it is a parish, if this word right here, this is the moving out section, if this is referring to a parish. So you first check to see if it's a parish, and then the next thing you do is to check and see if it is a farm, and then you look to see if it's a farm within the same parish, and then you look to see if it's a farm within a neighboring related parish. And so if you follow those 3 steps, you'll cover all your bases. So this one right here, this is where they moved out to in 1800. This is spelled A with a circle above it, SLED. So the website you can use to help you with this is archivedigital.net/volume. So that's this right here. And what they have is they have this search thing right here that lets you search any of the letters within a name of a parish, and it'll bring it up. So we'll come back here to this one. So we're going to type this in right here, and let's say we didn't know what this letter was right here, this S. We could type in just the LED, and it would come up. There might be a bunch of them, but eventually we could find it. So I typed in LED there, and it brought up, there's 3 different pages. And so we could go through, and we could look, no. It's none of those, doesn't look like any of those. Oh, we do know that it starts with a with a circle above it. Okay, so let's come here, and let's look at the last page, and see if it's there. Okay, so let's go back another page to see if there are any more that start with this letter right here. Let's go to page 2 and look. Okay, so there's not, but this is something that is a little tricky. It actually is a parish, but they spelled it differently. There's like an older spelling of things, and then there's like a modernized spelling of things. Sometimes it changes just a little bit, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, this one right here, if we search for it without the D, then we'll find it actually. So let's come here and let's type it in. And there it is right there. A with a circle above it, SLE. So if you're looking at things, try different variations of things. Also for spelling, sometimes you might have it translated wrong. Put a F right here instead of an S or something. So try a bunch of different letters to see, or you might have missed that this was a A with a circle above it instead of, you thought it was just an A. So we look on this website, and if we find it, there we go. This matches this right here. Has an extra letter here and not here, but that's okay because that is it's the same parish. So if we didn't find this on this website and we go to the next steps and we look to see if it's a farm in the same parish or a farm in a neighboring parish, we can come back to this and try some of these things again until we eventually find it. So if we change things up, then we'll eventually find it. And one way that can help with finding it is, instead of using just the search right here, is to use the list of counties over here. And so this right here, this parish, Kungslena, that is in Skaraborgs County. So people typically stayed within the same county when they moved. Sometimes they won't, and oftentimes it'll be written that this is in a different county. It'll list the other county before or after this parish right here. So we can come down to Skaraborg, and it'll give us all of the different type of parishes and as well as some other things. But we can come down to the bottom and find the A with a circle above it. And see, here's the start of them. Here's some other ones right here. So here it is right here. And so that's another way that you can search through the different parishes. Okay, so perfect. So we found out that Osle is actually a parish. And so then we'd go and we'd look for them in that parish right there. And we'll go over those steps in another video. So another thing is that it could be a farm within the same within the same parish. And so let's look right here. BACK, and then we have this symbol right here. So let's go to the first step and let's look for that. Okay. So we're here in Skarabor, and let's see if there's a BACK. No, there's not. Okay, well, let's try and just search for it in the search system. BACK. Okay, so there's this Baka, so that's interesting. And so this one is not it, because here's something that's good to know, is this symbol right here, it means that it's a village or a farm. So, but if you were to think that this was it, this BACKA, or in the other cases with Osle, if you were thinking that some of the other things were it, and you were to look in those places, that's not wrong. It's just one way to learn. So you'd look through it, and you'd look and you'd look, and you wouldn't find them. At that point, you would then go back, reevaluate, and think, okay, well, something went wrong. They are not in this parish. They're not in this farm. They're not in this whatever it is. And then you reevaluate and see what's wrong. So even if you do think that this right here is referring to this parish right here, it's okay. Go look in that parish, and when you don't find them, you'll realize that you need to look somewhere else. So that is definitely a good rule to go by. If you can't find them, maybe one of your earlier presumptions is wrong, and so go back and reevaluate on those things. So on this one right here, this is a farm. So we went and we looked for it here, and it wasn't there. And so we are going to go, and we're going to go to the index of this same book. So I'm flipping through the pages of this book. Since it's digital, it's a little hard to see what I'm doing, but you can imagine that this is page 91 of this book. I'm going to go flip to the very beginning of this book and look at the index. Okay, here we go. Here is the index for this book, and there it is right there, back golden. And so if we were to go and look on page 97 of this book, or maybe a few pages beyond, I don't remember exactly, but we would find them there in that farm. So there is an example of people moving to a farm within the same parish. Now here is an example of someone moving to a farm or village in a neighboring parish, or I'm calling it related parish. So here's an O with two dots above it, D, E, and then here's that symbol again right here. And right here it says HO with two dots above it, MB. So let's first go to this. Let's go look at this right here on that website. Okay, go. And okay, so it's bringing up all the different ones that have that in it somewhere. And let's come back here a little bit. Okay, so we would look through here, and maybe we'd look through that a parish here that's similarly named to this, but whatever we do, we wouldn't find them because it's not the name of a different parish. It's the name of a farm, and we can even look right here. So if we were to look through one of these guys right here, we would not find them. So you'd then go and you'd reevaluate, and you'd think, okay, well, it must have been something else. And if we look at this right here, though, HUMB, HUHO with the two dots, then we find that this is a parish. And this parish is actually a related parish to the one we are working with. We are working with Kungslena, and this one is Hum. And this is a nice website because it can tell us which of the parishes are related. And so we click on this, and it tells us, and it doesn't automatically translate it to English, so you can right click if you're in Google Chrome and translate to English. Um, but this tells us the different parishes that are related to the parish that we're working with. So, and we'll go over this more in another video, but here's right here is the parish that we have, and here's the right here. And the Google translation isn't as good. It sort of works, um, but not entirely well. And so, um, so this is how you can tell that it's a related parish. And I might have said this before, but sometimes it won't include this right here, the parish. So let's say that it doesn't. Let's say it doesn't include this right here. So we go and we look in the website for O with the 2 dots, etc., and we don't find it. Okay, well, let's go and look at at the index for this book, and let's see if it's there. Okay, so look in here. No, there's an O with the 2 dots above it, V, but there's not a D. So then we look in the sister parishes indexes, and this is where this can come into handy, where we can go look in this index, this index, this index, this index, until we find it. And so let's go look at their index. Here we go right here, and there it is right there, Gordon. And so this is where we look. Sometimes they will not write out the whole thing, the whole name of the parish, as I said before. And sometimes they'll just do an abbreviation. So here's an example where they do just an abbreviation. Right here, HV. And this is where it comes into play, where the spelling has changed. So this is an abbreviation for VARV, and that's this right here. The way they spelled it back then was HVARF, HVARF, and the way it's spelled now is VARV. And so we can look on this website right here and see, oh, maybe it's this one right here. Maybe this HV is referring to this one right here. And at least it's a better lead than in anything else we have. So we go look in there, and we do find them. That is where we would find them next. So there are also some common things to look for when you are determining whether it is a parish, whether it is a farm. And these can help you where to look first. Some of the things is that farms or villages are very commonly, at least in my experience in Skaraborg County, and with this right here, G-A with the circle above it, R-D-E-N, garden, you can say, I guess. And so this is actually the symbol, that symbol that we had before, that is referring to that. So right here, this symbol right here, it's like a G, and then it looks kind of like an H to me, kind of G and an H slashed together. But that commonly, in my experience, almost always refers to this ending right here. So that'll tell you, oh look, it's a farm. Let's go look there. There's also another common way to identify that it is a village or farm instead of a parish is Bakken. So that's pretty common. And also another one is the ending Kullen, like this says right here. And also one that's not listed, at least on this index, is Lilla, and that one is pretty common as well. And so those are some ways to tell whether it is a parish or a farm that they're moving out to, or if you're working in the other direction where they're moving from. So as a quick review, the people are going to be moving out to different places, and they're going to be moving out to a different farm within the same or a sister parish, or they're going to be moving to a different parish entirely. And something about sister parishes and stuff like that is that how it works is the minister is over a bunch of parishes, and there's like the main parish, biggest parish, whatever it is, and then there's parishes that are like underneath it basically. And so the relationship between the big one, and the other ones, this is the mother and these are the daughters, and then the relationship between these guys right here is that those are all sister parishes. So that's what I mean by mother and sister and daughter parishes. They're all related, ran by the same minister. Those are just kind of technical terms, I guess, for it. And also, when people are moving out, ideally it will be written that they moved out to a certain place in a certain time. Sometimes it won't be written, and hopefully that means that they stayed in that same village, that same farm, and they'll be in that exact same village and farm in the next household examination book. But sometimes it just means that the minister didn't write it. And in those cases, you have to use your creativity and look and find where you think they would be. Maybe looking in that book, that same book you have, kind of going page by page, looking for them, looking in sister, mother parishes, looking in the moving in and moving out records, seeing if they did that, to move to a different parish entirely, looking in the death records, the marriage records, the everything, all those kind of things. And I suggest starting with the easiest and then working from there. So what I do is I start with, if there's not a moving out place and date for them, then what I do is, very first thing is I assume that they stayed in that same place. So I look in the next parish book, household examination book, in that same village, and I see if they're there. If I don't find them, I look a few pages before that page range, a few pages after, and then if I still don't find them, then I go to the moving records. And so I look for them, and I just look through all the years for that household examination, because if they're in a household examination 1797 to 1822, then if they're not in the next household examination book in the same village, then they're not going to be moving out in after 1822. And this is a pretty broad range of years. Usually it's not that large. But then I'd look for them in the years 1797 to 1822, or from when they moved into that village to 1822. And then if I don't find them there, then I can go page by page to see if they are listed in there. And if I don't find them in that same book, I look at other parishes surrounding the relatives of that parish, and I see if I can see them there. And that is kind of the process that I roughly go through to see if I can find them the easiest way. Sometimes I also remember and go through like the death records and things. Those ones are more frequently notated of when they died, but I'll do that as well sometimes. And so those are some clues on how to go about doing your family history.